Hello and welcome to the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. My view of humanity is a whole new tea. Okay, okay. Let's think. Doctor Patient Trust Day was on the 17th. Yeah. It's like, because I know I've been talking on and off about doctors. Not too much because with my life, it can never be too much. But I did do the one talk about Dr. George Cirilli. So yeah, look that episode up because I tell I won't even say majority of the story. And actually, I will mention him in this episode, but I've talked about my diagnosis and the late, very extremely late diagnosis of my disability and how people didn't trust me, believe me, and the nightmare that I've had to witness, and I'm still going through it right now. And also how my undiagnosis interfered with my education, my dating, my family life, and things like that. So, because a lot of people like one reason why I talk about the domino effect, cause and effect, and things like that is because actions have consequences. But sometimes people don't realize how much, especially mentally, because I know sometimes, like that, oh my gosh, that saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt. Like, that's garbage. Why do you think so many people out here have mental trauma? Words follow you, words stay in your head. Bruises heal, they got casts for broken bones, and you can have surgeries and everything like that. Which you still have you still have trauma from that. But when it comes to words, yeah, it's like you can't just, some people say, just forget about it. Don't think about it. You can't just erase those memories out of your head. And especially depending on who said it, may cause more pain, more hurt, which is another reason why I talk a lot about why some kids say or don't go to their parents' or family members' houses for the holidays or special occasions, birthdays, or just to visit. They're just like, nah, I'm good, I'm straight. It almost feels like they retired from being their child because some parents literally say that they wish they never had them. And I am one of those children. So that's one reason why I have so much empathy, because I will never forget the fact that my mom said that on more than one occasion. And a lot of times it's because I didn't fit into her cookie cutter example of her expectations of me, of what she wanted from me, of how she wanted me to live the life that eat like. And that's the thing. I'm gonna have to talk to like once I meet a compatible therapist. I'm gonna need to ask her because I only have guesses, and I feel like my guess is probably wrong. But then I'm like, what else is it? Because I still haven't uploaded the episode about when I dated a guy from my church, which after that I learned to never do that again. And then also there was this other guy at my church. At first he was hitting on me and stuff like that. But then once he saw how I walked, he decided that he was just gonna mock me, tease me, and bully me. And it's just like, what does this have to do with the topic today? When it comes, well, actually, with the teasing and the mocking and things like that, it's like that was done partially a little bit in front of my mom. It was worse that I remember going to a convention at the church, and I saw him there, and he was with a group of his friends, and he kind of said hi to me, and so I was like, okay, so maybe it's a better day. I don't know why he went from begging me to go out with him to, you're a loser, you, why do you walk like a cripple, And are you so stupid that you don't know how to walk right? Like, and part of me is just like, you're saying this at church. Like, I thought church was supposed to be loving and forgiving. And so, anyway, then I found out I guess he asked his friends to stay outside of the chapel or the church or whatever because he was going to be as nice as possible. Because I was by myself. I went to church alone that night. And he was like, "Let me walk you to your car. You're a girl, you're a lady. You shouldn't be walking out by yourself." And I'm like, there's around, I think that night was like maybe three or 400 people that went to that service, maybe more, I don't know. But I mean, there was hundreds of people that night. So I was like, no, I mean, it's a pretty packed service. I'm good. I'm okay. And I know exactly where I parked. And it's, it's like he just insisted. And I'm like, why is he trying to be nice all of a sudden? And so, anyway, he ends up, he's like, I told him no, thank you, but he follows me anyway. And the closer and closer we get to my car, it's like, he just, and I know, like, this relates because I remember when I got home and I told my mom what she said. So, like, if you're wondering what does this have to do, just be patient. So, next thing I know, it's like he was like, so you still don't know how to walk right, huh? You're still gonna walk like an R word. And it's like, why do so many people say they had like sometimes when people get mad at me for calling myself the handicapable black woman, and it's like when people will tell me, "Oh, you're disabled," "Oh, you're a cripple," "Oh, you're the R word," or any of the other, like they say it with such hate, they say it with such harm and abuse and just trauma. And so sometimes like I feel like at least saying handicapable allows me to at least feel somewhat safe, especially like I wasn't diagnosed until my mid 30s. Everyone called me a liar. Everyone told me I was making it up. And I was literally spanked and punished and hit and called awful vicious names. And so for me it's like some people who like accuse me or they just can't stand or they try to put hate on me for you like allow like I'm living in my trauma still. And I remember like all of his friends once would like they slowly followed us or whatever because there's hundreds of people, so I don't notice that there's people like certain people walking down the or following us down the different lanes of the parking lot or whatever. And so then I finally get to my car and I'm like, okay, have a good night. And like some of the guys at the church are like, "You R word, why do you walk like that? You're so stupid." It's like it's like you can't even get him as your like, and it was like part of me kind of laughed years later because one of the girls was like, "You can't even get him." I'm like, is he that easy to get? Like, what are you trying to say? So, anyways, like, I mean, I'll tell the whole like, I told most of the story, but it was a lot more of the name calling. So yeah, it's like I don't need to tell that whole story because most people aren't. If you care, I might say it on the Patreon or whatever because I'm getting ready to start doing lives on Patreon and videos for just that group and everything like that. So, but right now I loaded up some of the catfish. I have tons of the dating nightmare images that some you haven't seen in the videos, at least not yet. I might not because yeah, some of them they're not quote unquote racist or some of them are just sexist jerks or just men who are like some mm, how do I say it? Some of them are just desperate to just get some and they don't care how they ask a woman for it. They will degrade and just be absolutely awful. But then when a woman declines or say no thank you, then they call them out their name and everything like that. That has happened so many times. And or like, cause oh yeah, I showed you guys the army guy. It's like literally he was just like, you're 40, so you're wasting your life. It's like you need to just give it up. You need to just like, he's literally telling me that my job is just to sleep with men since I'm not married at my age or whatever. But there's a lot of men out there that think that. A lot. There's so many men. Like there's so many messages I did not screenshot because at first it was just for the hateful, awful, bigoted Republicans. But then like message after message of men telling me that I was obligated or that I have to sleep with them because they say so, or that they're in need, or I guess they're tired of their hand. I don't know, but it's just oh. But anyway, after I get in the car, and normally, like, I mean, with the whole parking lot at this church, it's a mega church, so it takes forever. So that's one reason why I usually keep a book or an activity in my car. So I'm reading, and some of them are still outside my car trying to bother me. So I put my sun things down. I forgot what you call them. The not visor, whatever. Is it visor? I don't know. Let me know. I'm terrible with names, but I just put those down like around as much as I could around the car or whatever, and I ignore them, trying to read, try breathing very deeply or whatever. And I think one of the church people came by and shooed them away after about 5 minutes. And there was a couple of the church ladies that said, you guys should be ashamed of yourselves, but they didn't care. They kept going. So the parking lot finally dispersed, and yeah, get home. And then it's like my mom's like she saw my face and she was like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Nothing." And she told me, because this is one thing I hate. Oh, it's like, okay, I'm not saying I hated my mother. I have very conflicted feelings about her, but this is one thing I hated that she did. It's like it, we did not have a good relationship because she kept calling me a liar because of how I walked. She said I was making it up and I just wanted attention, like because of the doctors. And this is one reason, like, I'm going to get to the doctors portion and I'm going to do probably a part two on this in a minute. But she would tell me that I have to either stand or sit. But I knew it was a long, I think since I was out all day, all night, or whatever, like working and then going to church and stuff like that. And since I went to church, she was going to reward me. Instead of standing, I could sit. But I had to sit there until I told her. And she didn't care how long. So I got home around, I think, 8 or 9 o'clock. And so around 2:30, 3 a.m., she came back to see. Yeah, I was sitting that long because, I mean, if I go to my room, she's going to grab me, yell at me, and tell me to go back to that chair. I know the drill. I know the drill. So I sat there. It was 2:30 in the morning, and so it's like, I don't know, like if she had something to wake up by or whatever, but part of me was just like, it's none of your business. Leave me alone. And so she came back into the kitchen or whatever, sat across from me and just looked at me. You're so evil. Yeah, because now she's telling me I'm evil. You're not even gonna tell me. I want to know what happened today. What happened? If you don't tell me what happened, because this is when she started, like, because now that I'm older and I'm driving and everything like that, she knows she can't do what she used to do. But that doesn't mean she can't, you know, dot, dot, dot. She's very creative. It's like, if she has to think of a new way to scare me, she's very good at it. So then I'm like, fine. Whatever. So I tell her the story, and then she's like, "Oh, did that finally convince you to walk right? Are you finally going to walk like you're supposed to? This is your fault." It's like you came in walking it with that expression on your face when you're only upset that they're right. You're upset because they showed you that you walk ridiculously. You shouldn't be walking around like that. And blah 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 blah. Like, yeah, I can tell the full versions of both of those back on, you know, the drill, the Patreon, whatever. So I don't know when, but I created a list on Excel of all the stories I need to tell on Patreon and which one's on here. But anyway, I remember going to my doctor, and remember that doctor I told you about that calls my mother after every appointment, and she would tell her about everything I say. And this is the time where I already knew she was going to call my mom, so I knew not to say anything. How's your day been? Okay. How's college? Okay. What's going on in your life? Not much. And so I was as quiet as possible. But all of a sudden, I hear you have a convention going on now. How in the world does she know that? How is it going? Do you like what your pastor is talking about? How did she know that? So I just shrugged my shoulders. I'm just like, it's going. Yeah, it's okay. Oh no, you have to tell me about it. You're probably going to be seeing my mom soon. So, oh, why would you say that? Why would you think that? And so then I'm like, get back to quiet, shrug my shoulders. And so she keeps trying to ask questions about college and life and, are you dating now? I knew not to answer that one. Last time when there was a white guy that asked me out, and I haven't been on my first date yet. This is right before the guy from church or whatever. And so when I got home, I told her that a guy asked me to go to the movies with him, and her first question was, "What does he look like?" And I just remember when I described him, she was just like, "Are you trying to be white?" Um, no, but most of the black men treat me like garbage, or they say I'm too white or too proper, or they don't like how bubbly and I mean, I giggle a lot or I'm bubbly, whatever. So it's like my personality does like, and there was one guy from the college my senior year, but no, this is later though. That I mean, he claimed that he liked me, but I think he was a freshman when I was a senior. So I was like, no, it's like he just. So I don't know. And there was one other guy, but there were so many rumors about me that weren't true, and so many things that I tried to tell that was true, but no one believed those. And so I don't know, it's just the whole trust with society, trust with healthcare doctors, because like even with my doctor, when she asked about college, I used to tell her like, yeah, I'm taking this class, but I'm thinking of changing, like, cause that's one reason why when I mentioned about changing my major, I realized like when I did change my major, I knew not to tell my parents yet. I was so scared because somehow my perfect sister found out. Somehow it's like I never told, like they my parents were told, So for a full week, oh, you're going to be nothing but a failure. You're never going to graduate. You're never going to finish. And I just remember with my doctor telling her about thinking about changing my major, and her going back, calling my mom, telling her. And oh, college was such a nightmare for me. Like when I finished, when I graduated, I was so happy. And that's the funny thing. I never went to any of my college graduations. There's a reason. You're going to hear the story, but with my bachelor's with Oakland University I didn't go to graduation. I didn't have an open house. I didn't send out cards or letters like to family or friends or whatever about finishing. I was just so happy and relieved to be done because no one thought I was going to finish. Everyone thought I was going to fail out. Everyone thought I was going to quit. And so I remember seeing, I think it was one of my last times seeing my doctor. It was either right before or right after I graduated. I think it was right after. And she was just like, so oh, you actually finished? What are your plans now? I knew not to say a daggone thing about cause I can't tell you I want to be a writer because then my mom's going to throw me out the house. I can't tell you about like so many of my other goals or dreams because you're going to call my mother and then she's going to throw me out. And yes, and I'm realizing I didn't really talk about Dr. George Cirilli, which, trust me, yeah, there's so many different doctor medical days throughout the year, and I could talk about them whenever I want because it's my channel. But yeah, sorry, it's like yeah, I'm messy. I know my life is a disastrous mess right now. So yeah, just I don't know, just understanding and seeing how doctors don't realize the cause and effect that they place on a person. And then the fact that with all of the mental harm and trauma that was placed on me, it's like, especially at church, they're like, it's your job to forgive your parents. You have to forgive them for their mistakes. You have to forgive them for A, B, and C, and all of this other stuff. But then, and even like parents use that against their children when their children don't want to come home for the holidays or any day or whatever. You're supposed to forgive me. I made mistakes. No parents is perfect and things like that. But then parents expect their children to forgive them. But then the parents don't even go back on what they're expecting their child to forgive them of. It's like some parents just feel like I'm your parent, so that allows me to do anything and everything I want to. And that is one, like, especially with, well, if you look at the church umbrella, like, it's supposed to be God, Father, Mother, children. It's the power dynamic and everything like that. So it's just kind of like, it's some parents are so shocked when their children seem so harmed or anxious or traumatized, or but then it's like they don't think about, kind of like an umbrella, the toxic rain that they allow to pour onto their children. It's like sometimes they just feel like they'll forget about it. It won't get to them. It won't affect them. I was affected by my parents. And like that's the thing. Sometimes I wonder, do they realize that, or do they ever think about the trauma that their parents placed on them? how that affected them to the point where now that's how they parent their children, and how now it's caused the same cause and effect. And so generation and generation, like, but then, like, it's not the same toxic rain because now it's that toxicity plus new toxicity. And now we have toxicity plus social media. Now we have toxicity plus red pill and the change of influence and like mentors and like or people who should never be a mentor and things like that. It's like the way that we trust is kind of shaky. I don't know. It's like, let me know. It's like, how do you trust your parents and your doctor? And or when did you lose trust with your parents? And or like, are there topics that you wish you could have talked to with your parents, but over time you realize you will never be able to have that relief, that power to be able to do so? Because that's how I feel like with my disability. I lost all trust in doctors. And majority with my, like, my mom passed away, so and that's the part that hurts the most. She called me a liar for so long. She just kept calling me a liar till like on her deathbed. And because I want to need a part two. I'm gonna need a part two because I there were days where she would ask me to do things for her while she was in bed suffering through it, and I would do as she was asking. And like when I handed it to her, "You still walk like that? Oh, why did I raise such a stupid girl?" But then a couple days later, she's watching her movies with my perfect sister. "You never want to watch this with us. You never want to spend time with me." No, I never do. I never do, and I never did. And is it sad? Yes. I wish it was different, but with the pain, and also even like while she was getting worse, I didn't know. I didn't know it was going to get that bad to the point where she was on her deathbed. But part of me was just like, even though you're suffering through this, you're you're still insisting me to suffer. You're putting more pain on me. And I just kind of felt like, how fair is that? I'm literally doing anything and everything I can. I'm working 3 or 4 jobs. I am trying to be the best person that I can be, trying to live my best life. It's like, yes, you gave me life, but at the same time, this is my, like, and at the, like, I think the last 5 or 6 years, I just let her know that yes, I am your disappointment. I am disappointing you, and I'm just gonna have to be okay with that. And she made sure to let me know that she wasn't happy and how much of a disappointment. Like, I have so many stories about it, but this is the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. I am a woman, I am of color, and I am handicapable. But most importantly, I am human, and you're human too. And there will be a part two.